Good evening. Welcome to the State of Downtown, celebrating 2018 and envisioning a great 2019. My name is Heather Westling. I serve as the chair of DKI, Downtown Kenosha, Inc., and have worked as a professional in economic development for nearly 2 decades, including the last 6 years with the Kenosha Area Business Alliance, or COB. I appreciate the attendance this evening. It's excellent. I think we have about 250 people tonight at the Stella. And so with this great attendance, and given that the Milwaukee Bucks play in just a couple of hours, it's pretty impressive. A friend of mine at one of the tables just said, at the end of our presentation, if the Bucks start, it just flips right to the Bucks game, so you don't even have to leave your seats. So, and when I see this crowd here tonight, I can see commitment. So thank you for coming tonight, and I think you'll be glad you did. Tonight we are celebrating downtown Kenosha. How about this place, the Stella? Isn't it beautiful? Kenosha's downtown is retro and cool. We have come a long way as we're focused to preserve and enhance the heritage of this city. Simultaneously, we are not afraid to reach out for opportunities to secure the most desirable amenities, making this a great destination where you can truly have it all. A great lineup is promised for this evening, including an inspiring keynote speaker to bring us new ideas, awards, and recognition. The Kenosha Creative Space, interest to improve the Bardens building by Whitico, a unique family-run businesses such as Elsie Mays or Sandy's Popper. We strive to retain what makes Kenosha unique from Main Street, USA. The value of downtown is visibly improving before our eyes. With more than $40 million in recent investments that complement the tremendous economic growth throughout the county, we can be proud. Both public and private investments have accelerated the growth in the last 2 years. The more we appreciate downtown, the more valuable downtown has become. So this evening, I'd also like to thank the Kenosha Symphony Orchestra for performing for us this evening, and for the Stella with great appetizers, great drinks for the evening. And this is a lot about saying thank you tonight. I want to thank all the volunteers. I see a lot of small business owners in the crowd tonight, and I'm really happy that you've come out to see what's happening, what's new, what's going on, and what's coming on for 2019. And I hope we do a nice job sharing that with you. So I'm going to take a few moments to recognize board members. I've been on the DKI board for about 2 years, and I serve as the president or the chair, and this evening we're transitioning. But I'd like to take a couple minutes to recognize each of the board members because I want to appreciate their service with a few words of kindness to our board members who have served tirelessly to commit to establishing and moving DKI forward. I'm going to start with Deanna Goodwin. From the Convention and Visitors Bureau, Deanna works hard to establish our key attractions, such as Restaurant Week and so many others. Deanna sees all sides for every project, every attraction, and preserves momentum along the way. I want to also appreciate Dennis Duchesne as the director and thank the CVB as a founding supporter of DKI. Next, I'd like to recognize Tom O'Connell. His passion is to preserve architectural elements and qualities consistent with the historical period of original construction. He doesn't want to see towns lose their uniqueness. Tom has brought credibility to administering the facade program. Working with small businesses has made this program successful. We thank Tom for his service, and as he's leaving our board this year to make way for new professionals to join the board, but he will continue his support by leading the facade program. Next, I'd like to recognize Jen Dooley Hogan. Jen's lent her marketing team from Dooley and Associates to inject a formidable style for downtown to reflect a new, and here she comes. But honestly, so many of the board members here have lent the expertise of their organizations and of their businesses to really make tonight successful and really to make DKI successful. I think that Jen Dooley's team reflects a new sophisticated brand for Downtown Kenosha, Inc. Thank you, Jen, and thank you, Julie and Associates. And Jen will be transitioning into the role of president of DKI later this evening. Ricky Tagliapietra. Ricky is moving up to the executive committee this year from the board. He has been an avid supporter of our beer garden event as an organizer, a participating business, and a volunteer. We appreciate that he is always willing to step up and help us. From Sassy Bees, The Buzz, these are staple businesses to represent some of the go-to places for downtown. We are looking forward to the Grease and Honeys Group's 4th restaurant concept to be in downtown called the Apis. It's scheduled to open soon with boutique rooms to stay in and a hip cocktail lounge as a new hangout spot. Next, I'd like to recognize Marty Laycock, the CIO for Kenosha County Administration. Marty is moving into the role of treasurer this year. His steady demeanor has helped us navigate through good times and challenges. He was an early advocate to launch free and wider access for downtown Wi-Fi connectivity. His mantra, quality over quantity, has helped us to remain focused. Next, I'd like to recognize John Bolt. He's expanded his Clark Dietz business by opening up an office in downtown Kenosha back in 2016, significantly renovating the 6th floor of the former Kenosha Bank building. He took a chance on an older building when no one else would. We appreciate his efforts to increase downtown physical connectivity as he continues on our board to serve our downtown residents. Next, I'd like to recognize Kevin Irvin. He is a former multi-term president of DKI, willing to serve when others wouldn't step up, and served in 2018 as our immediate past president. He has helped us through thick and thin. Business owner of the iconic Frank's Diner, one word to describe Kevin is loyalty. Kevin will be serving on a newly formed advisory board to DKI and will continue to support us any way he can. Thank you, Kevin. Lou Molitor, as the Chamber's president and CEO, he is also one of the founding organizations for DKI. Lou has served in multiple years and multiple roles, and currently he serves as our treasurer and will be moving into the role of vice president of DKI. I want to thank Lou for always supporting us. Next, I'm going to also recognize John Fox in his former role as the council member for DKI, and Bill Seal, who's coming in as the alderperson serving downtown district. These council members, John Fox and now Bill Seal, serve our board and provide us with the guidance that we need to align city goals with DKI activities. Next, I am recognizing Matt Monroe, positive, upbeat supporter. Matt has helped us to connect with banks utilizing his knowledge about the Community Reinvestment Act to support our facade program. Since Matt serves on multiple nonprofit boards and community efforts, his insights help us as we plan for new projects and work with different organizations. Next, I'd like to recognize Rachel Hernandez. She owns a building here. Her sister Robin operates an expanding downtown business, Robin's Nest, which you all have cupcakes on your table to enjoy. Thank you, Robin. Rachel chairs the organization committee and committed downtown resident. She advocates for greater volunteerism. Thank you, Rachel. I'm also going to take a little bit of time to recognize some past supporters that served on our board as well. Paul McDonough, early investor and past president for DKI. Paul spearheaded the Snow Days event and sponsors that coordinate the beautiful ice sculptures that businesses support each winter. Zorab Kaligan, former board member and city staff member. He has truly been a help for us in terms of getting this organization off the ground. And who can forget seeing Zorab rollerblading downtown, delivering updated commerce maps door to door to businesses. He did a great job on our board, guys. Thank you. And last, and not because I have to, I'm going to also recognize Todd Battle, my boss. President of CAVA. CAVA supported the Lakota Plan and invested in the Main Street program as well as the facade program. Todd served as the treasurer on this board, and he continues his support for my role continuing with DKI, so thank you, Todd. So our recognition of the board members, past and present, is long overdue. Thank you for everything you've done to help DKI and for your support of our businesses and for the concept of putting downtown revitalization front and center. Now I would like to switch gears and introduce to you tonight our new executive director for DKI. It's somewhat of an unveiling. Alexandria Robinson is a locally raised graduate of UW Parkside. She has been serving DKI for the last 6 months and was recently promoted to DKI by the 2018 Board of Directors. Her experience ranges from being a part of a small business, an Italian catering business, of which her family has run more than 25 years. Her small business experience, genuine, authentic, hard-working attitude is hard-won. Alex brings to the table small government and events planning experience. Ready to roll up her sleeves and take the reign, please let me introduce to you today Alexandria Robinson.
Wow, thank you, Heather, for the introduction. And hello and welcome, everyone, for attending this year's State of the Downtown. My name's Alex, and I hope you're all as excited as I am to be here tonight. I find myself in awe of the transformations taking place in this community. I was here when the harbor condos were just an idea. I was here at one of the first Lighten Up events with my oldest daughter, looking at all the lights in this childlike wonder. I brought her to summer camps in the museums and walked along the lakefront waiting for her, stopping at the Coffee Pot, Frank's Diner, and Common Grounds, all negating my walking efforts. And I've spent every single year here watching the fireworks over the harbor and just in awe of everything that's happened in downtown. I grew up here and I'm so proud of the Kenosha that is my home. We are a unique community. We are not the Kenosha of 50 years ago, of 20 years ago, or even 10 years ago. We are ever growing, ever expanding, and ever changing. Yet we are preserving our charm, our local loyalties, and repurposing our history for an even better tomorrow. This brings me to why we're here tonight, to celebrate downtown transformations. The businesses and people who make up the fabric of our community make my role easy to love. You are the inspiration of our program. You are the reason for our successes in 2018 and the inspiration for our 2019. We at Downtown Kenosha are a nonprofit organization built on the structure of a nationally recognized Main Street model. With extensive ongoing training with our state partners in Main Street, Wisconsin, we lead with 4 points of progress: organization, promotion, economic vitality, and beautification. Each of these areas lend a hand to the other to shape the community as a vibrant place to come to work, to play, to live, and to ultimately invest. And I would like to take this opportunity to thank all our sponsors of our event this year. We could not have done this without you, and it's shown a real commitment to us growing and improving the community. So the primary goal of Downtown Kenosha is to leverage resources to benefit the center of our city. We do that through supporting business owners and the community with programming such as our Spark series. We expand financial resources for you with funding partners. We offer one-on-one business support and communicate with our local political leaders and community investors for ongoing improvements. We are our volunteers. Our board, our committees, and ambassadors are all generously donating their time to support our mission. These individuals lead their own lives with families, jobs, and other commitments, yet they dedicate precious time for the belief that downtown is meant to thrive. By working with us on cleanup days, on local events, and bringing together ideas to continue growing, we are empowered by your investments. I would like to take this moment to thank each and every one of you for everything you do. Please join me in giving a round of applause to all the dedicated individuals here that make us possible. Thank you. So now let's focus on promotion. We launched an amazing new website this past year, creating one central location for everything downtown. With expansive features such as our event calendars, business listings, blogs, and our program toolbox, our website is a hub for our working, breathing city. And our page visits boast that we are searched for. With over 500,000 impressions and 58,000 page views in less than a year, we are growing our media audience. One of our personal investment features, our toolbox, highlights resources that we offer, such as the space to list available real estate and jobs, and it lists partnering services for building, expanding, or maintaining your business downtown, and hosts our services for continued learning opportunities as our business partner. Through our partnership with Happenings Magazine, our website and social media outlets, we captivate our audience. Our marketing efforts include creating impactful events that bring traffic, raise organization funds, and engage community stakeholders. We partner with the City of Kenosha with events Lighten Up and Snow Days, which draw thousands of people here to fill those streets on those slow winter days. And this year we're looking forward to our beer garden event. There we go. This year we have listened to the community and are changing things up. We are going completely local. Local brews, community eats, and local talent will be here at Simmons Island August 8th through 11th and 15th through 18th. This premier fundraising event is one of our highlights for our summertime trends. We're adding VIP packages, service industry Sundays, and other incentives to bring the focus back to downtown businesses. And as a personal advertising plug, if you sign up for our newsletter or check our website, you can see our event details and programming guides for engagement. So let's call out the success of our facade reimbursement grant. This grant program is focused on helping restore the historic charm of our buildings and preserving the small town feel Kenosha is proud to have. To date, our facade grant has raised over $50,000 and has been dispersed to 18 businesses. Thank you. With the money we've raised, we've leveraged over $2.8 million in private funds for funding on ongoing projects. Impact like this would not be possible if it weren't for our generous local donors who believe in supporting our downtown. Please join me in giving a round of applause at the end for Johnson Financial Group, Educators Credit Union, Tri-City Bank, CABA, Exhibit Systems, First American Bank, and State Bank of the Lakes. In addition to our facade grant, we organize Spark Series, which is an educational series that launched last year. We bring industry leaders in on topics such as merchandising, branding, competitive advantage to bring resources to our community. This year it's expanding from 3 to 6 events. Our goal with this series is to spark life back into business by understanding challenges that are present for everyone, bring experts to speak on those needs, and then follow up with posted materials to our website and newsletters. In 2019, we're also looking to expand our outreach by establishing business council meetings to assess our future project scopes and better serve the community's needs. And finally, when it comes to beautification, we're already at an advantage. Our lakefront is breathtaking. What is so great about downtown is that anywhere that you are in the city, you can see the lake, whether it's while you're shopping, dining, or even working. So for us, our efforts are then focused on connecting our hardscapes to our natural landscapes. Every year we set aside part of our budget for flowers throughout the downtown, partnering with Burr Oaks to create beautiful flower baskets to hang from light posts. In addition to what we contribute, we have generous business owners and individuals who participate in our Adopt a Flower Basket program. For $200, you can adopt a basket, which will include a dedication plaque to be placed on that lamppost. This year, we're also working on bigger projects. Efforts are being made for the connectivity of the Stella to the lakefront, and we are committed to tackling vacant storefronts with temporary art installations and cleanup efforts to achieve higher occupancy. We're looking for ways to expand our funding for lighting up downtown in a fun and inviting way, and we are partnering with other additional organizations downtown to create a safer, cleaner, and more inspiring environment. Growth is happening in our downtown, and we love celebrating it. Now it's time to recognize some people in our community who have done outstanding jobs in the past year. And I'm going to ask Kevin, our immediate past president, to come to the stage. This is our first year launching the Downtown K-Town Awards. We took note of all the businesses that have impacted our visits and created these awards to recognize the impact on our lives in Kenosha. Thank you.
Thanks, Alex. Nicely done. So I had two jobs to do tonight. Both of them are a pleasure. First one's to greet you all, which was nice in itself, but also provided training for my retirement as a greeter at Walmart. So I'm good to go there. My second job is to award some people who've done some great things for downtown during the years. So let's get that going. So the first one is Volunteer of the Year. This guy has been with DKI since the beginning, doing everything from picking up garbage to stringing Christmas tree lights to being an ambassador at large for almost any event that downtown has. If you're out there, you'll see him in his yellow jacket buzzing around like a bee, handing out flyers, telling everybody what's so great about downtown. And this is a guy who truly loves downtown, and we truly love him. So Eric, come on up. Eric Bedore, everybody, Volunteer of the Year, Volunteer of the Decade. So, thanks, Eric. Want to say something? Go ahead.
Thank you, Kevin. I appreciate all the board members deciding on volunteer year for me, board, all your commitment board members, commitment to more volunteers out there committing to making DKI a wonderful place to enjoy shopping and living and celebrating downtown. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Eric. So, if downtown Kenosha had a mother, this woman would probably fit that bill. She's been in downtown, committed for decades on bid boards, on all kinds of boards, caring for downtown, fixing it, mending it, and even once in a while serving us all soup. So I would like to bring up to the stage the influential business owner, or the most influential business owner, Judy Rossell. Downtown Kenosha's unofficial mother.
What a beautiful opportunity to speak, but I want to mostly say thank you for getting into all the crazy things with me that I've done and for being a part of a town I love. Thank you.
Thank you, Judy. I think I can safely say that the love is felt on both directions here, so thanks. Before I tear up, I'd like to do the last award and then take my seat. So here we go. If you're renovating a business front, the thing you want to happen is for some drunk guy to drive his car through your front. Because that just really adds to the whole flair of your renovation. This person is used to dealing with knots and problems, working them out with her hands and everything. So a car through your window is not a big problem. So I'd like to welcome up here Maria Caravetti, owner of Equinox, for the best facade project of the last year. Maria?
just like to say thank you so much, and I'm very happy to have been part of the inaugural facade improvement of downtown. I'm very proud to be downtown, and I wouldn't be anyplace else. Thank you.
So with that, I'm going to reintroduce Heather, and she is going to present another award. So thanks. Thanks, everybody. Heather?
So it is my honor to present the Historical Preservation Award. Thank you, Kevin, for letting me introduce this fine award. Once the Old Elks Club, a fraternal club, struggled financially since before the Great Depression in Kenosha, Wisconsin. It then transitioned and was known as the wedding venue. It was the Heritage House, and for decades it was known as the place to be. Not too long ago, this is what the Heritage House looked like. And if you go online, there's many citizens that stood up and shared these pictures about this great place. Fallen into disarray, the city of Kenosha was left with no other option but to issue a raise order against the building on December 23rd, 2011. At which point, a group calling themselves Preserve the Elks formed to save the building from demolition. Sorry, guys. Indoor fires and vandalism continued to plague the building. Today, and even in that time, Kenosha County was increasingly recognized for the economic development activity that was happening. It's a rival in the Midwest for all of the economic development projects that we have here. Yet, the loss of industry in the downtown and the areas of disinvestment continued for us too. In a way, I think the Heritage House symbolizes that time period. Since the call for demolition and the efforts to save the building, Gorman and Company from Oregon, Wisconsin, stepped up. They listened to the citizens, the private citizens who had a call to save the building. Relationships are at the heart of change. Finding the right people at the right time is key. This was the first project where so many people came together to invest so many dollars in one project. Southeast Wisconsin's FIRE, or First Ring Industrial Redevelopment Enterprise Incorporated, this was the first project they invested in the city of Kenosha. Partners from the state, Wisconsin Economic Development Corporation, advice from the Wisconsin Housing and Economic Development Organization, Kenosha County, the city of Kenosha, Impact 7, private citizens, DKI, and the Kenosha Area Business Alliance became steadfast supporters to believe that this change could happen for us. We had to work with our boards. We had to persuade our financial advisors, committees, and councils in answer to the public. And it took several years to do it. Now, the Stella is open and it's being booked out as we speak. These projects cannot be done if we didn't share the value to make our communities better together. Thank you for giving me the distinct honor to share some of the details of the Stella redevelopment project and introduce our Historic Preservation Award to Gorman and Company. I've known Gary Gorman, Ted Mackham, Laura Narduzzi, and their team for more than a decade. I've seen the work that they've done. I believe in it. And when no one else can step up as a developer, they can. Project like our Old Elks Club is Gorman's specialty. The Heritage House fit the bill perfectly. So I want to thank you to Gorman's team for stepping up and doing what needed to be done. Help me welcome to the stage if Tim Soakley is here. I'm not sure if anyone from the Gorman Company is here to accept the award, but let's give them a round of applause.
Thank you so much. I found out that I was going to be taking Ted's place about a half an hour ago, so I don't have a long speech prepared. But on behalf of Gorman and Company, I want to thank so many of the people in this room who had a great hand in making this what it is. This would not have happened without, excuse me, without the support of this community and so many people in it. So thank you. And personally, let me thank you because I'm the guy that gets to come to work here every day in this really cool building. So I love feedback. If you have the chance, tell me what we're doing well, what we're not doing well, and we want to make this a centerpiece, one of the centerpieces of downtown Kenosha. We know it fills a big hole that used to be here, and we know we're not the only part of downtown. So we want to be a big part of downtown. So thank you.
Thank you so much. Congratulations. Thank you, everybody. So really, all the award winners are well deserving, and I think that we're going to make this a part of our process each and every year to really be deliberate about who should come next, who should be recognized. So I thank everybody, all the attendees, and the award winners. Next, it's my distinct honor to introduce our keynote speaker. We're going to just keep this going because we know we have a Bucks game soon and we know what people's schedules are like, right? And while I have everybody's attention, we want to keep it going. I want to remind our attendees that during this next portion, when Lanier Richardson comes up to speak, if you have cards on the table and some pens, if you have some questions, you can write down some questions that come to mind as you're listening to the presentation. We'll collect those cards and we'll ask some additional questions at the end. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and do the introduction of our keynote speaker. Lanier Richardson is a professional that I met and listened to when I recently attended the International Economic Development Council's, or the IEDC Leadership Forum in January of 2019. I learned that Lanier wears many hats, one as an entrepreneur himself, who has experienced both failure and success, one as an academic, serving as executive director for Rutgers Business School Center for Urban Entrepreneurship and Economic Development, a program that teaches and supports women and minority students starting their own ventures. He is also CEO of Chicago Trend, which launched in 2017, which offers financial support and consulting to retail developers in low-income neighborhoods. Early on, Lanier ran his own Chicago firm that both prospered and crashed. He understands failure. He understands success. He supports taking the right risks and believing in people that are often overlooked or do not qualify for financing to start their business. His focus is on minority, women-owned, or ethnically focused business developments in neighborhoods demanding for change. As Vice President of Urban Development at General Growth Properties, Inc., he led the national initiative to bring quality shopping centers to ethnic neighborhoods in America's largest cities. He helps African American entrepreneurs by sharing his wisdom around failure and to make profit their purpose. Let me welcome to the stage our keynote speaker, Lanier Richardson. Thank you.
Boy, that's a big introduction, right? Thank you all for being here. I'm very pleased to be in the room. Tonight I have my clicker. Is that okay? Great. Let me do that. All right. That's a good-looking dude right there. She mentioned some of this, and I only want to spend 2 minutes on my background because you'll see that I can't keep a job, right? I lead the Entrepreneurship Center at Rutgers. I'm also a full-time faculty member in our business school. I teach a class called Urban Entrepreneurship and Economic Development. The goal really is to teach students early on that there's a connection between the role that entrepreneurs play and how communities revitalize. Right before coming to Rutgers, I headed the Economic Development Corporation in Newark, New Jersey. When Cory Booker was mayor, I relocated from Chicago to head the Economic Development Corporation. It was the first time that I ever worked in government and got a chance to see how people approach government for incentives and for support. Prior to that was in corporate America at General Growth, nationally trying to get retailers to see neighborhoods. My job would be, General Growth is a $40 billion shopping center company. It owns Water Tower Place and Mayfair Mall down in Milwaukee and Fashion Show Mall. And I would come in at the end of the day and say, well, how about the west side? Or how about, the tough part of town? And that really gave me an opportunity to see how people thought about communities and thought about place. Prior to that, it was a period of being an entrepreneur. I started a business, two guys in a one-man sort of office, grew it to 26 employees. I won now we would call it a pitch competition. Back then we called it a business plan competition. I won a $100,000 prize and was named Young Entrepreneur of the Year. And I remember when I got the prize, they said, this is like rocket fuel for your business. And what I realized later on was, rocket fuel is highly flammable. Right? And so I literally went from 600 to 2 million to 4 million to about 8 million, and learned all of the sort of ups and downs of fast growth, of cash flow, of profit margin, of employee management. And I always tell people, they say you're not an entrepreneur until you made payroll. I know that you're not a true entrepreneur until you miss the payroll, and you got to keep people coming. Before that, I started practice. I was a lawyer, and I remember sitting in. I worked for a big bank. We had 100 lawyers in our law department in Chicago, and we were making loans to the big companies. We make $100 million loan to the utility, or $100 million loan to United Airlines, and about 2 in the afternoon, I'd be falling asleep on the loan documents, right? Just sort of nodding off. It wasn't until I got an opportunity. It was a pro bono assignment to go out to the neighborhoods and work with a little community development corporation and help them provide a $100,000 loan as opposed to a $100 million loan to the local barbershop who wanted to open on that corridor, and the local little taco shop that wanted to open on that corridor. All of a sudden, the same promissory note and loan agreements, they came to life. They meant something to me. So this work, at age 27 is when I really figured it out, that getting resources to people in places that other people overlook or undervalue, and leveraging the power of entrepreneurs is where my passion has lied. That's 25 years ago now. My journey, you see that. Started a business at 27. You see this, people think it's success. It really is this other one here. It's owner, it's losing, it's winning, it's still trying to go up. It's constant. Our center at Rutgers really focuses on making this connection between what entrepreneurship and what economic development is like. People often think of them as two different things. They think of, there's someone over here giving out incentives or trying to, do business attraction work, and there's someone in the university or with the chamber that's really working to stimulate business. Our innovation, I believe, is to every day make the connection between the important role of entrepreneurship and entrepreneurs as stakeholders, as contributors to the Little League, baseball team, as being active on the civic boards. We are a champion for entrepreneurs. We run a variety of educational programs and outreach programs every year, and it's really cool because our university embraced this role as an anchor institution that said we're going to help entrepreneurs, not just the Rutgers students. This is the university opening its space, equipment, and resources and making available to many of the entrepreneurs in this room. So from giving students an opportunity to do consulting assignments with them, to hosting meetings, to doing all types of events, to announcements, this is the university's role, we believe, in sort of helping economic development to happen. I show this picture because the world is getting more diverse. And if our economy is going to continue to grow, there's a whole portion of our population that I believe, if we focused on and figured out how to get them resources and figure out how to help people grow and be more profitable in businesses, it's going to help our economy. So 70% of the entrepreneurs who participate in our program are African American and Latino. Over 60% are women. We've taken these firms that are generating less than $1 million a year in revenue, $200,000-$300,000, and our aim is to get them above $1 million in revenue. And today, we have, it's everybody from your local print shop to the local restaurant to the auto repair service to filmmakers. The result is this. Did I pass it? Yeah. The result is this. We 370 entrepreneurs, 30 a year over the last 10 years. Over 100 now are generating more than $1 million a year in revenue. Some as much as 10, some 1,000,001, right? And others still on the journey. And they're contributing to our economy. If you saw $137 million of revenue coming to Kenosha, one company. You remember the Amazon race? Everyone will be competing. What do we do? How do we pitch them? Well, my belief is the entrepreneurs, many of them, of you all in this room, are just as important. So when you look at the macroeconomic impact of entrepreneurs, $137 million of revenue, 580 employees added. This is not just their total. This is added through the life of this program. It's something that we ought to celebrate. And so when I look around this room, and just as I was, having cocktails today, I started to talk to people, and in my head I'm thinking, oh, someone said, this is our third generation business, or we have a business right down the street, or we're just opening up a new shop. In my mind, I'm sort of adding, I'm guessing, $1 million, $2 million, $5 million, that there's an opportunity, I believe, for the chamber and for DKI to really talk about that in a macro way, right? Here's what our existing businesses are doing, and every year to continue to track that, right? So this year, just the 100 plus businesses in our community, the 9 new businesses that have been attracted, they're generating this revenue. Macro, people are not disclosing their confidential information, but on a macro basis to really talk about the importance of those entrepreneurs. And as an academic, I'm continuing to try to drill down. So they're macro generating $100 million. They're more micro, paying $1 million in property taxes. They're more micro, contributing to charities and little league teams, that people will then begin to see the impact and the importance of the everyday entrepreneur. People you see, the cupcake maker. Was she in the room with that? The cupcake maker is important, not beyond just the taste and of the delicacy that's on our table. That's an anchor business then that we got to celebrate. I'll go really fast here. So we've done everything from innovation, supporting entrepreneurs who are trying to launch and start businesses. I believe there's opportunity there in technology, high growth, to the makers. This is a program where we helped lower income entrepreneurs become Etsy store owners, right? So instead of just selling their beauty supply products or handkerchief or ties locally, we're helping our local entrepreneurs be able to sell their products to the world. And it was a very inexpensive, we found an Etsy maker, paid her $1,000 or so to come in over 5 nights over a couple week period and work with entrepreneurs and help them set up their site and help them take pictures. Again, the goal being, if we grow entrepreneurs in our ecosystem there, it will continue to bring revenue and continue to bring resources back to the community. Creatives. Richard Floyd has written a book that many people have heard and read about, Rise of the Creative Class, and really talked about the importance of creatives in place. We know that around our city of Newark, New Jersey, there are all these filmmakers and bloggers and videographers, music makers, dancers, but these were people that saw coolness in a distressed place early on. And I, in the same way, encourage Kenosha to continue to make this a place where creative individuals can see the charm in the old buildings, can see the story and sort of romanticize the story of all of these existing buildings, but also begin to talk about a new narrative of the future. So, great, proud past, bright future. Right? And so we nurtured 15, we sort of found 2 or 3 initially that were kind of program ambassadors, and we nurtured them. We said, can you find 5 or 6 other people like you? We went and found Queen Latifah and had her come and speak to the group. She was from Newark. these people have gone on. A guy has a film in Cannes Film Festival. One person has music on MTV. You have a lady who has a contract with Getty Images to get more women of color in print and magazines. But what's more important is when people now are telling the story of Newark, they're telling it from a positive perspective from these creatives, right? So not just, oh, it's a tough place, it's had high crime, industry left, there was a riot in 1967. All of those old narratives now get told in a new way from people who say, we're here, we're owners here, we're invested here, we see where the future is going. So strategy sort of on a macro basis, and I won't spend a lot of time here. This is why supporting entrepreneurs is important and how you really pull all that together. All of this is sort of mutually reinforcing. It is, how do we tell a story about our place? How do we recognize the assets that we have? How do we get our elected leaders all saying the same message? All of those are opportunities that you start to use to turn a place around and realize my work has always been in the low income, sort of the higher crime area where we're trying to figure out how do we get development to happen there, right? How do you get a new coffee shop or a grocery store or a sit-down restaurant or more jobs back to that neighborhood? And it always starts with narrative and finding a champion, I think up here, finding a champion, finding capital, right? Getting someone to sort of coordinate that in a way that all of a sudden it becomes, this is the basis from which we tell our story. Entrepreneurship, I want to continue to stress it. So much economic development practice in the past has been about, let's find the big new company. Let's get Amazon. Let's get the big corporate client. I think as the world is changing, entrepreneurs will continue. At Rutgers we say entrepreneurship is the new liberal art, right? So this work of trying to make this a place where entrepreneurs feel that they're welcome, that they're embraced, that there's affordable and a soft launch pad, right? That's the opportunity I believe a place like Kenosha really has, right? There's buildings, there's support. You can talk to the chamber leader, you can talk to the local entrepreneur who's been here 3 generations to give you the story about how they've done it and how they made that trend. This should be a place where the everyday entrepreneur believes I can come and I can launch and I can get resources and I can hire locally and I can start off with 2 jobs and 5 years from now end up with 20 jobs, right? That's how a community, I believe, ultimately will work. So finally, I give you this, I call it the practitioner's perspective. I mentioned being, starting out as a lawyer and growing a company and failing and then luckily keeping a good reputation and going to big corporation, corporate America and sort of working there, and then government. Right now, I tell people all the time I'm at a high point in my career because I split my time now 2 days a week, just about every week in Chicago, and 3 days a week in New Jersey, and I've been doing that now for 5 years. Southwest is Uber for me, right? But the reason why I feel like I'm at a high point of the career is I get to do a few days a week. I am teaching entrepreneurship and being a champion for entrepreneurs and telling the story of entrepreneurs and this connection. About 5 years ago, out of a research project, I started a business called Chicago Trend. And we launched it in 2016 with $7 million of seed capital provided by the MacArthur Foundation. The question there was, every community is trying to figure out, how do I get activity in my commercial corridor? How do I get commerce back to the corridors? How do I get a restaurant? How do we get Target or Chipotle or Starbucks? And so we, with a co-founder, launched this enterprise that really has a mission of strengthening neighborhood by catalyzing and accelerating development. Right? So what organizations like DKI do from a civic and nonprofit basis, with the MacArthur Foundation funding, we're aiming to do that same type of work and be non-grant reliant in about 5 years. So the foundation launched us with a $2 million grant and a $5 million 1% loan. That we're finding entrepreneurs who understand the corridors and making investments of $200 to $1 million into those projects. And the goal is that after about a 5-year period of time, those investments, we're putting it in, I've created this term of art here, data, deal making in dollars. And we created this term of art, which I call dequity, the discipline of debt and the optimism of equity, right? So it's a 5% non-recourse subordinate loan that goes into a transaction. The latest transaction I'm very proud of is I think there's opportunity here as well. We kept talking to the national retailers and about coming to the south side or the west side or the tough side of the city. And we got to this point where we'd be talking to some of the franchisors, anywhere from Buffalo Wild Wings to Denny's to UPS store to State Farm or to Nationwide Insurance, any of those that you think of as a franchisor. And they'd say, well, I could kind of be interested there, maybe, but we don't have a franchisee. We don't have a franchisee. And I kept hearing that. And so I went to a local franchisee. It was a local guy who owned like a Kumon after school. I said, can you help me find other people like you? And he ultimately did. We worked with him. We structured a program, and we did this thing where we invited 20 entrepreneurs who said they had at least a 650 credit score and $30,000 and an interest in possibly being a franchisee. And then we invited 10 franchisors, and it was like speed dating. First hour, cocktail hour, everybody sort of met. And we didn't invite anybody because we didn't know what happened here, right? It was like trial and error. Well, we get there, and the energy and the sort of organic nature of the connection, the entrepreneur really being able to say, I understand this community. So an entrepreneur here, or a prospective entrepreneur, I really understand Kenosha, I understand where it's going. And the franchisor saying, we're trying to grow our brand, but we don't know the nuance. It was so, the conversations were so rich that at the end, I didn't have, at speed dating, you're supposed to like ring a bell and they move. At the end, I didn't know how to get people to move, so I sort of took out my phone and I put the microphone next to the phone, and I played like Cupid Shuffle, to the left, to the left. So everybody had to start moving. It was the only way that I could get the room. But here's the result. Every year, there's one metric. Every year, UPS store gets 2,000 applications for UPS store franchisees. And 180, it's numbers, don't quote me, numbers are somewhere around 180 get approved. Well, 3 of those were from our event that night. And the one, we just made a loan of $225,000. African-American military veteran, about 48 years old, investing $30,000, and he opened a UPS store in about 4 months, and we just approved. I'm really excited about that. It's that organic energy focused on a solution, getting capital, and sort of doing the dance, whether it's the Cupid Shuffle or through all of the other financing mechanisms to ultimately be able to get a deal done. That's the work that we're passionate about. So 5% non-recourse lending, this equity that feels like equity, subordinate debt, if there are bankers in the house or finance guys, it's sort of preferred equity. We work with our foundation community to get either first loss capital or some type of other guarantees to let the investment be made to entrepreneurs. When I talk about being at a high point, it's my entrepreneurship experience understands the entrepreneur on the other side of the table. So it's not just a banker's perspective, but it's, I'm doing the pro forma, I understand the visibility, access, and parking requirements of the retail locations, and we're investing with people that we hope will give us a higher probability of success. We've committed about $5 million of the capital. We're about a month away. It's official, but we haven't done an event. We just got another $10 million in Chicago from Fifth Third Bank and the Calwood Foundation to continue to do this type of lending of $200 to $1 million subordinate debt, and working with the local CDFI partner. These are some of the transactions we made. So this work that I think we're doing. I think there's a clear opportunity for a local community development organization, a local economic development organization to sort of get in the trenches and again work with entrepreneurs to be able to get the vibrancy and the vitality and the additional retail services and amenities that we all desire, right? What's the quote? The help we want is in us, right? And so it's a matter of sort of working through us, right? So my concluding slide. It's about creativity and it's about innovation. We know that. That's where the world is going. This is all of that Richard Florida work. He has all these. I started to put some of those sophisticated charts in here, but I figured no one wanted to see that at cocktail hour, right? Or after cocktail hour, right? But if you think about it, the charts show decline in farming, decline in manufacturing, increase in service-oriented work. We know that. And so whether it's supporting the local entrepreneur to get a car to be an Uber driver or supporting someone who is, doing more stuff around growth industries, artificial intelligence, virtual reality, someone who's sort of doing the creative work, getting the entrepreneurs to believe that in one of these old buildings they can create the next future, I think there's opportunity there. So I don't know this yet, but if there's not a cool, accessible incubator technology space. Another loan we just made was $250,000 to an entrepreneur doing co-working and coffee. And the innovation was, he says, look, people come to the coffee shop and they stay there all day. And they come to my co-working shop and they kind of want to pay the fees, but they drink all the coffee. So he's going to sell the coffee and make the co-working membership easy. So we liked the idea, and he had sort of a model of it's co-working, it's event, and it's coffee. So we'll see that. So if they're not places where people, even now, I often just want to get out of my house or get out of my office in Rutgers or Chicago and just see other people and be in this environment. There's now, I don't know if you've seen this, there's a soundtrack that is Starbucks background noise. So people are at home, but you want to hear the espresso machine, the cash register, the little, chintzy jazz music playing, right? So that opportunity of recreating that, I think there's opportunity here in Kenosha as well. Creativity is the driver of our economy. Get resource to entrepreneurs. Education resources. I talk a lot about that there's a lot of capacity building programs around, for-profit, universities, nonprofit. And so educational resources are necessary. How to get in business, how to have higher probability of being successful, choosing location, choosing partners, understanding cash flow, understanding how to be profitable, and being profitable without apology is what I learned after my years of entrepreneurship, or the first time around. So there is a need for education. But just like there's all these workforce development training programs and there's no job at the end, I feel like for entrepreneurs, at the end of that, there has to be spaces and capital and engaged other corporate partners or even entrepreneurial partners that will give people contract opportunities and give, I'm buying my, print services from a local entrepreneur. We're buying every one of our meals. We're having catered from a local entrepreneurs. We find a local council who set up our investment club, right? That work of being able to really support entrepreneurs is the opportunity that we have, and we don't need anybody else to really be able to do that. And it will be generative. And accretive. It will keep building here and in here. And then finally, this is a place, right, that can enable creativity, that should enable creativity, should continue to enable creativity, and support entrepreneurship and innovation. I believe that's the opportunity here. This place that we're in is great evidence of that. Applause to all of the award winners today is great evidence of the disciplined, organized, consistent effort that it takes to be an entrepreneur and to be committed to a place. And so I applaud you all for being here. I applaud you all for seeing this new building come back together. And I applaud you all for continuing to support the DKI and the Kenosha that you love and the Kenosha that you want to see happen in the future. Thank you.
going to sit up here, but at this time, I don't think we're ready to say goodbye to Lanier. I think it's been so gracious of you to come and travel and to spend some time with us this evening. So let's give him one more round of applause. And then what I thought we might do is, I know that our executive director has a couple of questions that she'd like to get to know him just a little bit better. And, she's going to start with that. And then I'm going to look around the room, and if people have questions in the audience, I'm going to take cards and I'm going to bring them up and see if those are good questions for Lanier to answer as well. So we're going to take the next 10 or 15 minutes to do that. Is that okay? All right, let's get started, and I'm going to give Lanier the mic and take it away from myself.
I wanted to start out by thanking you so much for coming today. I know that you are going back and forth from Chicago and Newark, and quite the commute here. I also wanted to ask, as we're talking about the speech that you gave, there was a lot of emphasis on, your entrepreneurial creativity and the niche market that you really focus on. So I kind of wanted to know, just start out by expanding on, what's your why? How did you get innovated into this?
So again, this was early on about people in place. It was, the loans on that corridor that was, a mile away from where I grew up, and it was finding a niche around entrepreneurs. When I was an entrepreneur, there's a people always say, when you start your business, you should go to friends and family. There's a friends and family round of capital. Friends and family round. Do the friends and family round. Well, when I did my friends and family round, I got a round of applause. They were supportive, but they didn't have capital, right?
Of course.
And so for me, the goal was to get capital to entrepreneurs who had ideas and had ambition, and work with them to get a sound plan. That's my why.
Okay, great. Thank you. So what led you to starting your own business?
A family of entrepreneurs. My dad has owned a small little bar for 40 years, and we saw entrepreneurship firsthand. That little bar put my brother and I through college, and it just was always a part of our, just our makeup, right? We talked about a new employee, or we're expecting a big event, and we hope that a lot of people turn out. We talked about that over dinner table, and it just always has been something that I didn't know how. I went to law school, and I thought I was going to be a lawyer, sort of full time, but the dream of growing a business and finding a niche and solving a problem is something that's always been just part of me.
Perfect. Yeah, I honestly also came from a very small business family background. My family has had a restaurant for 25 years, and they kind of expected me to follow suit, to be honest. And when I went to college, I really wanted to go away from that. Although there's still that drive of being invested into small business and that entrepreneurial spirit. I guess one of my biggest holdbacks was that fear of failure. So, you've said that you had your business, your first startup, and there was failure. Can you express what you've learned from that?
Oh man, there's some lessons only failure can teach. Right? And literally, to even be able to talk about it and joke about it that way, there was, there's probably 1,000 counseling hours to be able to talk about it, right? So this question of, I think now there's a new viewpoint around, if you don't fail, you're not a great entrepreneur, right? I failed before, to me it felt like I failed before anybody ever failed in their life, right? That's how I felt, right? And so I didn't know how to talk about it. I didn't know if I'd be able to get a job after my entrepreneurship, but all of those lessons became, when I remember when interviewing again, I was able to say, I scratched my entrepreneurial itch. I have an owner's perspective. Entrepreneurs, we don't work 9 to 5. I have I come early, stay late type of a work ethic, right? So all of those things made me a better employee, just the owner's perspective, if nothing else. And so I learned also the power of a team. Right, my first time around, it was me. While I had employees, I didn't have a co-partner. And the second time around, I decided, when I looked back and sort of analyzed, it was stuff around. I didn't have a partner. I didn't understand profit margin and how to price. All those lessons I'd sort of learned looking back. And so the failure about, my kids now are 25 and 26 years old and thinking about entrepreneurship, and I'm like, oh, really? I don't want them to feel the pain of that failure, but there was so much good lessons that have served me well afterwards.
And I think we can all appreciate that. I mean, all these businesses here that have been growing, there's a lot of risk associated with that. And, even if it doesn't come into the fruition of what you originally set forth, you expand on that experience and have moved on. I mean, looking at you, you have led your whole focus on a whole different type of industry. And, one of my questions is, what focus led you the most to find those strategies to secure your entrepreneurship?
So lately it's been about, it's always been about finding a niche and finding a problem to solve. Mm-hmm. The problem that I'm most focused on right now is if I work with entrepreneurs and got them this early stage seed capital, would I see communities improve? Would we see wealth created? Right now, there's all the, in the news about income inequality, racial income inequality. The average net worth of a person of color versus, there's grand disparities there, right? And so my hope is I can solve those problems and also make a profit at the same time. So my goal was I never wanted to be, quote unquote, the poor nonprofit executive, but I also never was focused on I want to be the billionaire. I wanted to be in the middle there, sort of having impact, but also having enough, financial wherewithal to enjoy the life that I want to live too.
Absolutely, what a great balance. So, how did you end up in New Jersey?
So I moved to New Jersey in 2008. It was the recession. There was no money for real estate development. And I met a young mayor. His name was Cory Booker. And Senator Booker now was really charismatic. He could tweet the CEO of Whole Foods and get him to come to the city, or send a Facebook message to people and get Mark Zuckerberg to make a commitment to the schools. And so for me, it was this opportunity to sort of stand behind a big, charismatic, dynamic leader and just try to do deals. And so I learned a lot about how to get stuff that was, we called it from the pipeline to the finish line. All these things that the mayor had announced, but we had to focus on how do you ultimately get them done. And so it became very fun work for about 5 years.
So, how do you feel your accomplishments were met there in New York? And
again, learned a lot, and decided to stay, right? Because the other cool thing about working in a city, Newark, New Jersey has 280,000 people. And the city feels, I imagine Kenosha will feel like this as well. Every 3 to 5 years, you see new developments and it feels a little different. And so I can walk down the street there now and say, I played a part in that. All these projects take 1,000 people, right? But I worked on that. We got Whole Foods in downtown Newark. I know I worked on that. We opened up 3 new hotels. And all of those things I touched, and part of that, not even big fish, small pond kind of thing. It's just being able to see the result of your work, every day, and sort of just common, experiences of. I see entrepreneurs we supported. I see, development that we envision now being real.
Perfect. So, how do you balance that in Chicago? What brought you back to Chicago, and how do you keep that going?
So Chicago was really, it was a return to entrepreneurship. It was this large foundation, the MacArthur Foundation, posing a research question. So initially it was consulting assignment, but ultimately the seed money is $7 million. Again, I started my first business with $70,000 of my own money, and, robbing Peter to pay Paul to try to grow, as most entrepreneurs do. The second time around, to start with $7 million of backing from a large foundation, it's what I wish every entrepreneur could have, right? It's the launch pad that I'm trying to make sure I don't mess this one up.
So, in your speech, you were talking about encouraging minority entrepreneurship. What efforts are you taking place in the Midwest and as well as in New Jersey that really are effective?
So again, you heard me say a little bit about we call it our franchise initiative and tracking program. It is connecting with existing organizations that do capacity building, working closely with CDFIs and those partners to get capital there. It's just this ongoing effort to try to drive diversity and inclusive economic development, right? So that's the other thing where maybe there's opportunity here, right? So there's economic development, but to be intentional about how do we drive diversity, get inclusion to really happen in the work we're doing, that's interesting to me.
So with that, do you have any recommendations or ideas on trends on how to invest in those kind of businesses in our community?
Yeah, again, I think it's everything from clustering, this great project is here, and I'm sure the economic development officials are thinking like this already. It is, how do we get more stuff around here, right? We now have this new, anchor, right? How do we really work directly across the street or around the block and find little spaces and find an entrepreneur and curate the space and cluster the development? Is that type of work and that's, again, those are base hits. That's grunt work. That's not huge announcement. When the little boutique or salon or bakery opens, no, it's not this huge celebration, but in economic development world where the work is evolutionary, not revolutionary, you're saying, I got a new business next to the hotel. We got a new, another service operator. We got more people coming downtown. We got also have these businesses selling stuff outside of our city, right? So everybody should have some type of web opportunity where they're selling merchandise, not just to this community, which again, just given its nature, is limited to the 100,000+ people that are here. It is, how do we expand that so that we're selling our merchandise, our services across the country, across the globe?
Absolutely. So this question comes from the audience. This says, how do you balance a national franchise moving into a smaller community, downtown area, without squeezing out the local businesses? What's the ideal formula?
So for me, the ideal formula is a local entrepreneur who understands the nuance of the community. So the national franchise system is about increasing the probability of success, reducing the risk. There's a system. I'm going to start wearing brown now and be a UPS store operator, right? Because this little business has, 14 different ways that it generates revenue. It does gift wrapping, it sells business cards, it has mailboxes, it shreds, it's a drop-off center for iPhone returns or whatever, right? So this was a model that we then found a local entrepreneur who could communicate the business value proposition to the other entrepreneurs in the community. So our hope is that this entrepreneur, while he has this national franchise heft and system, will then be able to be a value contributor that will help other businesses in the community become more profitable.
So it's a collaborative in a lot of ways.
It's collaborative.
Absolutely. So another question from the audience. I imagine there are many examples of urban environments that have gone through successful economic and entrepreneurial revival. So are there online resources that have been developed through the collection of this data that would allow a community to calculate their needs?
Well, Heather mentioned the International Economic Development Council. I sit on the board, and it is a phenomenal organization of economic development officials. A whole lot of resources there. The Edward Lowe Foundation, when I talk about supporting small businesses, and they have this thing they call economic gardening, where it goes to each one of the small businesses and says, what could we do to help you so that in a year you could hire one more employee? Is that sort of a micro of a question? What do you need? Some people need, I need a designated parking spot in front of my business. I need, permission to open longer, or, I need an additional small loan to buy an additional piece of equipment. That little micro, those micro interventions can help businesses grow. So Edward Lowe Foundation, IEDC, phenomenal resources. I know you all are part of the downtown, the international, the Downtown Development Organization as well.
So, and to expand on that, in Wisconsin specifically, our WEDC partners are a huge ally, and UW Extension is a really good resource for those kind of strategies in our downtown area and what assesses our needs. So, just to expand on that a little bit. So, this is the final question for you. When you failed, did you wallow in it? If you did, how did you get out? If you didn't, what is the characteristic about you that made you that way? Sorry.
No, I wallowed in it. Because I didn't wipe out. I didn't just, I wiped. They like threw me out, right? So I wallowed in it. I mean, after my fail, that's when I learned how to binge watch TV and eat pizza for a whole weekend, right? But I think the lesson, or at least the lesson that I teach my kids, is you just got to keep getting up, right? And you got to have an optimism that it's going to be better. And it's tough, right? I used to have, I remember having carrying this black briefcase around which had unpaid bills and IRS notices. And it was like, I used to think of it as the bag of dread. But it was so terrible that I didn't want to leave anywhere because I didn't want anybody to open it and go like, what the? They would freak out, right? I carried this bag of dread around for like 2 years, right? But I kept getting up. I got a job. I started doing well on the job. I kept active. And, I started to save. It took me 8 years, but I got back to a good credit score. It's just, it's like when I ran a marathon once. I won't do that again, but I finished, right? But it's like you just one foot in front of the other, and by the time you get to mile 20, it was no way I was going to quit, right? So that's how you get out of failure. Is you believe that there's a better day, and you just keep getting up.
Well, I would like to say that we think you're all an amazing success, and we thank you very much for coming.
Thank you very much.
So at this time, I would love to introduce our county executive, Jim Cruiser. He has been a huge ally to downtown Kenosha as well as our community. So I'll give a round of applause to Jim Cruiser.
Thank you very much, and congratulations to you. Very good. Give it up for her. That's right. That's right. Well, every day is a great day in Kenosha County, and seeing this crowd in this building is probably the best part of Kenosha County today. Give yourselves a round of applause for caring about Kenosha. Judy, how about that? I bet if we could just pick your brain and have all the memories of all the changes in the past number of years, I'm thinking 30, 35, 40, 45. You started when you were 12. Wow. Wow. An honor much truly deserved. Yeah, we're standing on your shoulders in a lot of ways, in so many things in the downtown. Eric, congratulations to you and the other award winners. I'm just so pleased to be able to be here, and you think back when Kevin came into my office. Kevin, 11 years ago, that was 10 years ago, it was great economic times, right? He planted a lot of seeds that he didn't even know about when he came in and talked to me a few times about the vision for downtown and where we were going, and we both kind of chewed on each other's ears for a little bit, and a lot of good things came after that. Thank you for all the time you put in downtown Kenosha in making this a great place to live, work, and raise a family. Thank you, Kevin Irving, and your team. So when you have in the great state of Wisconsin that we have, they always talk about how southeastern Wisconsin is the economic engine of the state, which in reality it is. Sure, there's manufacturing all over the state, but the economic engine is southeastern Wisconsin. In Kenosha County, the economic engine is the city of Kenosha. And people say, well, you worry about the county. Well, by the way, the city's in the county. All the towns and villages are in the county. You may live in a city, town, or village, but you all live in the county. Believe it or not, a lot of people don't believe that. But it's truly important. And from day one, we've been a co-founder of downtown Kenosha. And we've been able to put some resources into it in various ways. Marty Laycock's on the board and does a great job. Our IT director and Sean helped put together the Wi-Fi downtown, which I think is what you need to be doing. I have kids 27 and 25, and all those ideas I have in the parks come from them or visiting them, whether it's in San Francisco or looking up the next best idea in Austin or Boulder or Denver, and all the places that young people are doing things. We try to Kenosha-ize and steal those ideas and bring them and have a ropes course, have a beer garden, have all those things that make things fun to live and work here. We also had Jenny Tunkeys, who's not here tonight, but was able to help out with Francisco and all the arts things that go on. Big deal. Andy Bueller, retail strategies, countywide. Downtown is a big deal, part of that. UW Extension, big deal. So a lot of county components are focused on downtown Kenosha. We're here, we've reinvested a lot of our resources in our buildings, brought up our infrastructure, and are trying to be a leader in how we do the lighting and make it stand handsomely on that corner of 56th and Sheridan Road. It's really been a tremendous turnaround when you think about what's going on. I run into people yet that say, there's nothing to do in Kenosha. I say, do you have a pulse? Really? Really? When's the last time you went out on a Thursday night in downtown Kenosha? Well, I haven't. Well, why don't you? Get up, go out. You'd be amazed at how many there's great anchors that we've had for years. There's so many new things happening. Now my kids come back to town and go, wow, this is really cool hanging out down here now. It's always looks better when you leave, but with all the new things going on, I congratulate everybody in this room for the work they put forward. This building, Mr. Mayor, where's Mr. Mayor? I know he's here. I love working with Mayor Antaranium and I talk about different ideas and the future and the vision you have. Absolutely outstanding. Absolutely. I mean, the vision is very bright in Kenosha County. The vision is bright in the city of Kenosha. And I will tell you, the sky's the limit, because we are now at a point where we can be a little more choosy than we used to be. And part of the entrepreneurs here tonight, and all of you who have invested in Kenosha, thank you. What I like about it is I don't know everybody in this room. 10 years ago, I bet if we had this group, I would have known almost everybody in this room. That's a very healthy part of Kenosha County. So I just want to say thank you for everything you're doing, DK. Downtown Kenosha, I want to just thank and welcome in the new president and your board members for all the efforts you do, all the activities you do to make our whole county a better place to live, work, and raise a family. Thank you very much.
So with that, we have an amazing partnership who was one of our funding partners, the City of Kenosha, and we would like to have the mayor, John Antaranium to please come up to speak about his vision and his goals for this vibrant community to come.
Well, good evening, everyone, and it is a pleasure to be here and to congratulate all of you who have made downtown Kenosha the place it is today, because it is a wonderful place again. So congratulations to all of you. I was kind of curious, though, as the county exec and I work very closely together to make sure that our communities improve. And I'm very pleased to tell you that it is a wonderful relationship the two of us have, and it is a good situation in which both of us can talk about where we want to go, what we want to see happen, and then work together to make it happen. So Jim, thank you very much for all the hard work you've done. I was trying to decide what I wanted to talk about tonight. And again, as the conversations went on, I was looking around the room and I thought, well, I could talk about what Kenosha used to look like when I was growing up and the different things that were going on. And then I thought, you know what? Other than Judy, there might not be anyone else in this room who knows what Scoop in the Loop is. Anybody know what Scoop in the Loop is? Some hands? Thank goodness. If you notice, the county exec didn't raise his hand. His sister knew, he didn't. I also want to also acknowledge John Fox, who for the last number of years has worked with me and working at getting things going in downtown Kenosha, and along with all my staff that are here tonight that were there to make sure that things happen. So what's going on in Kenosha? What's going on downtown? Well, a lot. There are a lot of things happening. This summer you're going to see Tall Ships coming in, which is going to be a 3-day festival, which is going to be a remarkable event. Last time we did Tall Ships, if I remember correctly, we had 40,000 people who descended on the downtown Kenosha. Just to give you an idea of what this can do and the type of attraction it is. All summer long you have numerous festivals that are going to be coming in the downtown area. And as soon as everyone figures out how to get past all the street construction to get down here, we'll be doing good. The other aspects of what's happening downtown, though, is everyone has always been talking about the downtown plan. And I look at the downtown plan as a long-term plan. Nothing ever happens quickly. When we created Harbor Park back in '92, we put together a plan that we knew was going to take many years to implement. And it did. And whenever economies go up and down, things slow down, speed up, that's going to happen. But you have to have a plan on where you're going. Without a plan, nothing happens. We had plans for museums. We built them. We had plans for housing. It got built. We've had plans now to change the face of downtown once more. And from here to keep going west, all the way down until we get into the uptown area. This is a process. It is not something that just happens overnight. And it only happens with people working together. And so that's why it's so very important. So what's going on right now? Well, we are in discussions with a group looking at the expansion in the downtown. We're looking at condos. We're looking at townhomes. We're looking at apartments. We're looking at a performing arts center. We're looking at a hotel. All those different aspects are being looked at into the downtown. We are looking at a potential $500 million project in the downtown Kenosha. But like everything else, it starts with a plan, and that is what is going on with why all of you are so important. Nothing happens without the small entrepreneur who's willing to stick their necks out to get things started. Downtown Kenosha would not be what it is, or what it will be, without all of you. So that's the plan for downtown Kenosha. A plan to see it continue to grow and prosper. You'll continue to see infrastructure being built. There is going to be a huge amount of things happening on the lakefront. The beach house is being revamped. Walkways are going to be built onto Simmons Island. Different aspects and revamping of Harbor Park will continue to occur. Downtown will continue to see infrastructure and changes in infrastructure. You will see a lot happening in the community. But again, this is the beginning. And it will take time, and it will have to continue. It cannot just stop in downtown Kenosha. We are a community, and as a community, it has to spread throughout the city. And so I believe you'll see that happening. I think you'll see the Chrysler site changing in the next 5 years, to see more entrepreneurial type of activities, research and development. Those kind of things are what is so exciting in the community. Kenosha is a diamond. I used to call it a diamond in the rough. We're not in the rough anymore. We are a diamond, and we are going to continue to be polished, and we are going to be a better and better community. And no one, not Madison, Milwaukee, or any community around us, will ever look like we are going to become. So, thank you very much, and I appreciate being here.
Here's a video for your pleasure. So again, I want to thank our sponsors, the Stella, the mayor, the county executive for speaking today, and our keynote speaker, Lanier Richardson. The last transition that we'd like to make tonight is to introduce you to Jen Dooley Hogan, our new president of DKI, to come to the stage, as she is now the new president, and she's going to share some goals for 2019. Way to go, Jen. The stage is all yours.
Thank
you. My first goal was that I was going to make this really short and sweet. And so I really just want to say that my goal is to keep growing events like this and bringing keynote speakers like Lanier to us to help further what we're doing. I'm really passionate about what's happening down here. I moved my business down here in 2013 when CABA said this is going to be an up and coming place. People thought I was crazy to move down here then. They thought my clients would never drive down here because not all my clients are from here, and they do. And they continue to, and it continues to get better and better. And I think it's because of all of you. I remember our first State of the Downtown, I think we had about 60 people in the room. Look at this room tonight. Look at the facility we're in tonight. And I just want to encourage you all to please go patronize the rest of our businesses tonight and don't go home yet. Stay here, have drinks, go to explore our downtown and come back often. And thank you for being here. And you're free, right? We're all good? We're all good. Have fun.